I'm Father Mariano Ruiz, missionary in United States. Today, July 1st, we celebrate the 13th Tuesday in Ordinary Time, and we take the Gospel from St. Matthew. As Jesus got into a boat, his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a violent storm came up on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by waves, but he was asleep. They came and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." He said to them, "Why are you terrified, O you of little faith?" Then he got up, rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. The men were amazed and said, "What sort of man is this, whom even the winds and the sea obey?" Today, we turn our attention to this dramatic scene on the Sea of Galilee, in which our Lord calms the storm. A moment in which we can also take certain lessons about our faith, about our fears, and the presence of our Lord in the midst of the difficulties and the storms of our lives. But let us picture first the scene so that we can understand also the circumstances of the apostles and the disciples and Jesus. Jesus and his disciples are crossing now the Sea of Galilee to the other side, though the sea is not a big sea, just about 13 miles from north to south and 8 miles across its width. It is notorious for its sudden and violent storms. It is situated over 200 feet below sea level in the Jordan Valley, and also cold winds rush down from the western hills like giant funnels slamming into the lake with great force. So a day which can be a calm day in an instant can turn into an incredible storm, especially at night, such as the crossing of the disciples and Jesus on the boat. Even though it's short, it can be more dangerous. On this particular day, after long hours of preaching, Jesus is exhausted. He lies down on the boat and falls asleep. Suddenly, a violent storm arises. And we see that the storm threatens to swallow the boat. The disciples, many of them who were fishermen and well familiar with the dangers of the lake, realizing they are in real danger, they struggle to keep the boat, and they began to see that our Lord continues and remains asleep. The disciples, terrified, they cannot understand how he is still asleep from this kind of a storm. So they hesitate to wake him up and ask him, "Lord, save us. We are perishing." In the Gospel of Mark, the cry is even more direct. "Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing?" And so we see the desperation, the lack of hope. And so we see the distress of the heart of this man. Our Lord wakes up, and his response we can see in two parts. First, he turns to the storm. He stands, rebukes the wind and the waves, and with a single word, he silences them. He puts them into calm. Instantly, a great calm settles over the sea, which is a clear manifestation of his divine power. Jesus speaks with authority, and the elements of the universe obey. Then he turns to the disciples and asks, "Why are you afraid, you of little faith?" And even another translation would say, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" So here is the core of the teaching of this gospel that we want to take. Jesus is not just pointing out to their fears, because it's natural. He's addressing their lack of trust. He was in the boat with them, and he was present with them, even though he was asleep, and yet they gave into panic. They doubted either his power and his love. And that doubt is what grieves him the most. The disciples in awe whisper among themselves, "Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?" That question sits at the center of the passages. It invites us to ask well to us, who is Jesus for us? He revealed himself through his action. His words commands nature itself. The disciples, maybe in this moment, even though they didn't understand completely who Jesus was, but it is a manifestation of their fear that they will not trust, or they didn't trust enough to keep them safe. This story is a powerful image also of the storms that we face in our lives and the manner that we also have to react to these storms or the difficulties of our life. The boat is an image that can represent by many of the fathers of the church to represent the church that is tossed about the waves of the world, or it also can represent our own soul that is shaken by the trials, by the fears and the temptations of our lives. The storms is an image of the fears that strikes our hearts, our doubts, our vocation, the temptations against purity, external persecutions, misunderstanding, betrayals, fatigue, sorrow. So at times, we too feel that Jesus is in our boat but asleep. He's present, but seems to us that he is not doing what is necessary. And like the disciples, in many occasions also when we are tempted, we cry out, "Do you not care that we are perishing?" But again, the message is clear. Whatever Jesus is, the storm is not victorious. His presence is stronger than the waves, than the storm. When the storms of our lives shakes our soul, we need to remember Jesus is present. Jesus is there. And even though it seems that he's asleep, his presence is enough. Our peace that he offers doesn't come from things being calm around us, but from him being with us. And that peace comes through trust. That is why his approach to the disciples is not about their strength or their skills in a moment, at such a moment, because, as we said, it's a natural reaction of being afraid of a situation like that. It is about the lack of faith. And we too often forget our total confidence that he's calling us to live. We repeat the same frightened prayer, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." But those are the very words for which he gently rebuked them, and is doing it to us as well. Once again, we need to consider, how do we live with this kind of trust? How can we achieve this peace, this unshakable trust, even in the moments in that Jesus seems to be distant or silent? The answer is to become in this way, like Saint Teresa of Lisieux speaks about the spiritual childhood. It means depending totally on God, like a child who trusts the Father for everything. But it also means humility, recognizing that every grace that we have is a gift from Him and belongs to Him. It means also detachments, not clinging to comforts or emotional heights or spiritual experiences that are in a way not God Himself, but always resting in faith alone. This abandonment is not a passive one. It takes courage. It takes emptying of ourselves and to refuse ourselves from getting into God's way. May in this day we deepen in our faith in our Lord, knowing that our Lord is always present, that we cannot perish, and that in His presence, even in the fiercest storms that surrounds our life, we can be in perfect peace.
If you found this video fruitful, please feel free to share it with a friend or family member. Or if you would like to learn more about our missionary priests throughout the world and how to support them, please visit iveamerica.org. Thank you for watching, and God bless.